Good evening. Welcome to another teaching session. I'm your host and teacher, Mike Pahsetopah. That's my name, Mike Pahsetopah. On this side of my family, on my mother's side, I'm a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, and I'm also Yuchi. On this side over here, on my father's side, I'm Wajaji, Osage. It was on this side of my father's side that I learned how to talk with my hands at a young age. So I want to welcome everyone in, and we'll get started here. Plains Indian Sign Language is a direct way of communication between two people or to a number of people in front of you. It's supposed to be simple, not complicated. And so being that there's different Native Americans throughout the US and abroad, that sometimes the signs may vary. We can communicate using those signs, but sometimes we have to put pantomime, facial expressions, and body language into a hand sign, and then they'll say, "Yeah, I see what you're doing." So that's one of the things that we have to sometimes face. The words and stuff are can be used in different applications. Okay, a signer will have to convey and project a word. Sometimes I just noticed that people that was sign will keep their signs down low, where you may see others with their hands extended out like this. So I guess it's up to the one that's using that sign language, how he's projecting it. See, and so that's another thing that we have to look at. We practice these words over and over until we can get them. Usually in a lesson that I do, at the end, we'll go back, have some questions, and then when we go into the next lesson, like next week, 7 o'clock to 8, I'll be back. We may review the first part, and then we'll move into the lesson. That way you get to refreshing and see where we're at then. Sometimes in storytelling, when we're talking with our hands, it can be sometimes like that old game of charade, you know, where somebody's saying a word or building a sentence or giving a name for something, but they don't say it, and we have people participating in it till they guess what they're saying. That's almost kind of similar when, you know, you're not understanding that sign, so you kind of like, well, I think they're saying this, because I've looked at different sign language people and maybe some old footage and watch these guys talk with their hands, and I'll have to kind of say, wait a minute, I'm gonna have to back up a little bit, and it's almost like going through everything. Okay, my hands are moving this way, and I'm saying this. I'm moving fast in that because it's a feel. You feel these hand movements, and the hand is an important part of the human body. And with the expressions of it, you know, we can project love, affection, comfort, friendship, all of that with the hands, with extension hands. We can create things with the hands, make things. And so our hands have that, give us that ability. So that's one thing too, that as you get to practicing this sign language, there'll be times that you're talking and you'll be using that sign language. And that's one of the parts right now. For me, I seem like I do a lot of this in front of the mirror because I don't have anybody that I can talk to on a regular basis on it. And so, you know, we need that communication, and really an open classroom would be really good. And so here, I can't see you, but I know if you're watching that you can practice that on the other side of the screen there. So again, Plains Indian Sign Language is a simple way to communicate using the hands. All right, we're going to start right now. The beginning of this. The first sign we're going to do is speak. 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 Words are like this. Speak words. You carry your hand, holds those words out. Okay. In the old days, when they would speak, sometimes they would say that the wind would carry your words. Now, when we do those signs, we have to look at maybe the mood or the atmosphere when one is using it. Meaning when I say mood, or it's got to be an extension. Let's say there's things going on right here and you have to be kind of bold or stern to somebody and you're using that. And I'll show in the application here in a minute. So if you speak, you know, that hand movement might be quick, or you might carry it out like that, these words, okay? Now, there's a directness with that. So you could probably say using sign language, sometimes you would carry, you know, emotions and attitude in that gesture, see? Telling somebody something, using your hands, you know, in Native American culture, there's not very much eye contact like that because they use those hands. Eye contact back in the old days was challenging, you know, not so much being intimidating, but it was the way that the culture was at that time. All right. Now, let's say I'm going to say I'm getting ready to speak. I would say, this is how we say me, using that thumb. Me, or I want to speak to you, or I'm going to speak to us or to them. Depends where that person is, where they're stationed at, and you're making that directness, okay? Now, let's say we're going to say here, I'm getting ready to speak. I want you to hear me, hear me, hear me. Now, if one is having trouble hearing, you would use both hands. Okay, like this. But if it's just one person and they need to speak up or to be heard, I'll lead into some more hand signs. So be hear or listen, see, or watch. Those two words can both mean the same. So you can say, I hear you. I hear you. Maybe there's somebody over here in this area that's singing. You could say, I hear them singing. That's carrying that voice up like that. Here, maybe in the distance. See, this here puts distance right there, like a long ways. Here. Now, when somebody's speaking and they're maybe talking to a child, and you're making, contact with your words to them, you say, listen to me, speaking to you, sit, like sit down. That's a sign for sit down. This is a sign for stand up. So maybe to this person here, they're going to say something, you would tell them, stand, speak. Stand and speak. Tell us all. So you'll use both hands. So there's people out to this area right here. And just like that, that'd be all. If we were saying, you stand, come here and talk to them. There's another way that we can use that. See, we want to be able to lead one simple hand move into the next one. And therefore, that's what we call communication, direct communication. Now, to speak truth, then there's some signs that are similar. And this is where I want to say, like I was saying my name earlier, name, okay. That word next is truth. When I speak, my word's truth. You make that hand and like that. Truth. My words I speak are truth. So you can see that from both sides up to this group. What I'm saying to you is truth. See? Now, if what I was saying wasn't truth, then you would throw this onto the side, almost like with cat whiskers. That means that those words are not true. Like that. And then again, the expression behind that might be. So again, with your sign-in, you'll be able to put yourself into that movement, into that sign, rather than just sit there and go like that. You put feel, you're feeling it. These words that we say are supposed to come from here, like the heart, come from the heart. They say in our culture that our people are quiet people. They're very reserved. They only speak when they have something to say. So they think before we speak. So there's always a pause and a slowness that when we say, rather than just keep rattling and going with our words. Therefore, when we say we're going to speak, we're going to target those words. Again, direct communication. Now, bad is, or let me use the word no first. This is no. This is yes. 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 No. 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 Okay. Now, if we want to put no into application, we would be saying, if maybe somebody was talking to me and they said, can I go? And you would say, no, no. Or maybe somebody's asking permission to do something. can I go over there and sit? And you would say, yes, go ahead. To go is like this. Some will say like this, go. They will use that hand to kind of brush out. Where others want to be saying, go. Take it and go. Now, to say bad, because we see good is this way, good. I've seen some people say it like this, it's good. And then I've seen others keep it right down here, right above the bottom of the rib cage, good. But for bad, it's this, kind of like a blinking eye. Bad. Bad. What? You can point that, it's bad. See. Then we look for the application of how we're using it, what we're describing, like maybe food, maybe something you drank, or maybe somebody's asking you if you was running fast. How did you do? And you say, bad. You know, maybe you was eating something and it wasn't right. You kind of refrain from it a little bit, and they ask you, how was that? And you say, it's kind of bad. Don't offend them though. Now, so again, when we speak and we sign, we want to really not so much think about that it gets confusing. We want to make sure that when we come and when we breathe, that you know, we relax, we be at ease to do this. It shouldn't be strenuous. And then once you practice a whole lot, maybe get in front of the mirror and do these signs. Maybe find somebody, watch these videos, and you learn, you accumulate the words, and then you start beginning to practice to where you can use it, be able to articulate a conversation. You know, I can look back in the 60s when I was a little boy. I'd go to powwows and gatherings. Then I noticed a lot of people was talking with their hands, men, women, even children would be saying stuff to their parents in sign language. 70s, I began to notice that I didn't see as many talking with their hands. 80s, the only thing I would see was somebody doing good, and yes, that was it. And then going to different parts of outside of where I live, maybe traveling back west, I would see people using sign language, and they would talk about, you know, when they was at the drum, you know, they was trying to learn a song. When we hearing that drum, a lot of times we want to know how many push-ups, how many times through we're going to sing it. And that's like when my dad used to do, we'd be doing a dance presentation, and I would come out and fancy dance, but he'd tell me how many times did I want him to sing that? 1, 2, 3, and I'd say 2 times, and then fast. And so he'd tell me, yeah, and that's what he'd do. Then looking for a location to do it. Dad would be over to the side and he would direct me using sign language. And, you know, it was natural for growing up in that environment in this part of the culture that it was natural to see sign language, you know, and I picked it up. I didn't realize what I had until about 20 years ago. And then more so the last few years that I was really watching my dad, And I picked up what he was teaching me, and how he learned it was that my great grandfather, Pahsetopah, Osage, at the age of 12, he was riding a horse in a race. And that horse toppled over, landed on top of him, bursted his eardrums, left him unable to speak. As he began to grow into a young man, he traveled up north, up there among the Lakota people, and they took him in, embraced him, showed him their way, taught him how to talk with his hands. He moved back to Oklahoma, built his home, got married, had children. So all the children all picked up that sign language watching their daddy. One of his children, my grandpa, my dad's dad, he learned it. Well, later on in life, he got it injured in his throat. He began to kind of forget about that Indian Sign Language. And he started learning how to do American Sign Language and spell, doing letters. And I remember going into his room, and I was like maybe first, second grade, he'd be talking to me with his hands. Then he'd throw in a little bit of that Indian Sign Language. And then there I began to see and watch him and tell Dad that what Grandpa was telling me, saying he was wanting to know when I was going to dance again. He wanted to come and see me dance. And Dad said, yeah, that's what he said. And so that goes from my great grandpa to my grandfather to Dad and to me. And to me, this is really special. This really is, it comes from here when I do this. And to be able to talk and carry this on. And it'd be real good. My children, will pick this up also. Okay, we're going to move on up. We did yes, good, no, bad. Now we want to say stop. Well, stop is pretty much universal. It's something that we've seen for years, and it's no different. Stop is this. Stop. Okay. Just extend the palm out. Stop. There's many ways that we can use that word stop. Maybe somebody is walking. This is how we do walking in sign language. I notice it's been changing also. I see a lot of times people will just use their index finger like that old telephone book commercial with their hands, Southwestern Bell. And as long as you know what they're doing with that sign, you'll understand they're talking about walking. I've even seen them doing this for running, some natives. And then I've seen them, they're going back their way, running fast. But this is how we do when to walk. So if we was telling somebody to stop walking, or stop running, or stop eating, or stop talking, or stop laughing. This is how we do laughing. You might want to put more emphasis in it, like that. That's how my great grandpa was said, how he expressed laughing at somebody, because he couldn't hear what a laugh sounded like. And when he did try to make sounds, it wasn't in time that it would cause one to have caution or get their attention, because he wasn't saying words, he was just making noises. So it might have sounded like a cry or a yell or something. So he would like that. So we stop laughing. And there's, again, we can use that application maybe in storytelling. Well, we could say, this is day. I was thinking about some new signs that we could do, and it would still be direct. Is like time. You know, people used to wear watches, or we could look up and say, you know, like position of the sun. But if it was nighttime, we also could describe time. Days, we'd have to kind of make that sun go around. You know, a long time ago, they would go by the seasons, like winter. Let's say it was this would be snow coming down. You say four winters. Time now, when we look at a clock, we could say, and this is something that maybe it's not time for it in this lesson here, because color and numbers is kind of it kind of evolved, you know, today. If I was wanting to say 1,000, or if I was wanting to say red, white, blue, you know, without having something that color. And back in the old days, they would have colors like that. They might say, point out, they say blue, it's supposed to be blue, or the sky at daytime, blue. Red, you know, they'd have things that they could refer to. Now, let's see here. So this will stop. Now let's use the word stay. Okay, maybe somebody was moving, walking around, and you want to give them a direction, and you would say, stay. Right there, stay. Excuse me, let me get a drink. So that's stay. Okay. And then when you tell them to move, you say yes. Or come. This is come. Go can be, there's different ways that I've seen them do it. Like I was talking earlier, you know, that would be go, maybe this. But sometimes you'll see in sign language where they'll use that index finger, and they'll kind of pop it, kind of swirl it up like that. That's another way, because I'm noticing variety of different ways to do that. So maybe if I'm around this group of Native Americans, that I learned how to do it like they would, and they would understand me. Or if I was to go, they may not understand that movement. So, you know, we can understand eventually as we get in to learn. We can use and know different ways to say these words here. And a while ago when I was using that word no, we always say that no is not a bad word. You know, our children sometimes they think when we say no it's bad, but no's good. There's a lot of safety in that. And so when we do know, we want to do that, you know, with love, with wisdom. So, because a lot of times, you know, like, why? He said no, why? Well, if you present it in a way, it doesn't turn into an argument where you bump heads. So that's another thing that we get to touch on. Now, in my intro, I said my mother, my father. Okay, so we won't go back over that one. Sign for a woman is the hair right here. bring that down. Okay. Then, so that's woman. This is man. Okay, man. Father is this. This is my father, or this is my mother. In that way that you carry that there's a way that they say in that presentation of saying when you're referring to your parents, you see that you're doing it like everybody. Look, this is my father. It's that esteem that even your parents feel that expression being given. Bring a smile to their face. Now, if somebody was asking me, for instance, asking me if I was going to dance today, I might say no. Tomorrow. Afternoon, that's noon, so a little bit past that is usually what we always refer to as afternoon, and then of course, evening. This depends on the positioning of where you're standing and conveying out. Water. Water is this. Okay, water. Drink would be that. You kind of tilt that head back. I had a lady telling me at a conference on Plains Indian Sign Language. She said today, a lot of people don't know what this is. She said, I just tell them drinking a bottle of water. She said, you know what I was doing when I said that? I said, yeah, I sure did. I said, yeah, we're getting to a place that we have to bring whatever resource we have in so we can describe and we get that understanding. The whole part of it is communicating. So there's water. Let's say that water was cold. It was taking a drink. For cold, it's this. Water's cold. Let's say the water was hot and you took a drink. And it was hot, you do that hot. Or maybe you might want to do it for a flame, a fire. Water it was hot. So those are the two words that we would refer to as, describing temperature. Even in a day, it might be summertime, and you're out in the heat. You might say that sun, it's hot. It's hot today. Or wintertime, maybe that wind's blowing. It's cold. Nighttime, cold. My grandma, my great grandmother, one time she made a mistake by asking me to build a fire for her in her wood stove. Boy, I had that orange stove just almost red hot, and she was in there really sweating with the newspaper. She didn't move, but she said, "Boy, I built that fire too hot." But that wood, she put that wood and some paper in there, build me a fire. It's my first time that I learned. Now, water in a way for river or stream. Say water, and then you could swirl your hand like that. Right. River. that river, that waters is cold. Now, let's move over to food, eat. Again, this is a sign for eat. Okay. A sign for chew is this. Chew, like it was chewing a piece of meat. A lot of times they do this, meaning meat. So that's a sign for food. So that it's in that description to eat. Now, let's say that you're talking about it's time to eat, and they would tell you, supper before the sun goes down. We're gonna eat. Come eat. I feel like I need to move on this side of this. And that application for food, you can kind of get descriptive. Let's say you went somewhere and they had the buffalo roast or something, or dried beef. You could use those. And talking about food, bread. Is this okay? Maybe that bread was hot. Maybe that bread was cold. You point at it. Oh. If you're hungry, you put your hand here to your stomach, right here at the top, almost to that place where you sign for good. Well, this one here, you hit here. It means I'm hungry. Hungry. Or you might say, you hungry? You might say, yes. Let's go eat. Full is, we bring it up to here. I'm full. I want to stop there. I'm full. It was good. It's good. Good food. So now, I used some signs earlier in the demonstration for stand, for sit. Sit is this. Sit. Stand. So sit. If you was in a room and everybody was standing, then we could say sit. To tell somebody to come is like this. Sometimes somebody will use both hands. Come up here. Now, to lay down, it's this. Lay down. Say you was going to go to sleep. You might want to close your eyes. That means sleep. But if you want to lay down, you might just do this. Or close your eyes, sign for sleep. My dad, he'd always, growing up, he'd always tell us a certain time, it's time for y'all to go to sleep. Get up early to that point towards that sunrise. Get up early. Or he'd come in and he'd touch your leg and say, it's time to get up. Get up. Food in there. So this, like I'm showing you right now, is exactly how he done it. And well, I can remember this. Now, let me go ahead and use that sit and eat. When I come, sit sit down. See. Let's say we're saying like you've had enough or you're quitting. A lot of times today, they might say, going to break it off, or cut it off there, or they're going to stop right there. Those expressions can be also used in that application, food, because you go places sometimes and they will encourage you or ask you, you better eat some more, and you don't want to offend them, and they want you to try everything. In our culture, they fix food and prepare it. They want you to make sure you get full and eat more than enough, maybe even take some home. My dad always said, "Mom, full." So I got long ways to go. I was thinking about the how to say swim in sign language. I mentioned water a while ago. Dad always used to use this. He would say, well, jump in, swim. And that's how he would say swim. We're going to go out there, water. Jump in, swim. Now for climb was this, climb. So you was going to climb a rock, go up the side of a hill, climb. The crawl was the elbows. I seen man crawling. Now hopping, if we would say hop, Grandpa used to say, he just barely raised off his heels, kind of like that. Now, if he was talking about hopping, he'd always kind of make a sign of a rabbit. He said, I was watching him dancing. He said he was hopping like that. And so that's how we knew what he was saying when he did that. Now jump over something like maybe a stream, or maybe a small log, it would be this, going over. Just like this means going over like a bridge, going over something. But here, he was going to jump over. That jumping and a hop is different. I think, especially if maybe you was on a horse back in the old days, you couldn't very well make a lot of those movements. So with their hands, they would make that, and you would understand what they're saying, suggesting, you understand, you pick it up. Now let's say you was on a horse, and he was riding. He was on a horse. Now you're riding, and he jumped. He went over, jumped over that water. Or I jumped over that log that was there. Went over. Now, I was watching my great grandson. And there's times when he's real shy, or maybe he may try to hide behind something. In sign language, hide is like this, going behind your hands. That means hide. Seeing hide. Maybe he was peeking. The hands can make those eyes, make your eyes look smaller in that description. Seeing, speaking, peeking like maybe as A lot of times people are shy. That means they kind of go behind that hand and kind of move it away. Okay. Now, I have some more words here. I showed you how to go over. To go behind, you would have this hand here. That's the hand that's carrying the action. Goes back to here, behind. All right. Let's say that you was in a line, and you had to go to the back here. All right. Now for the front, it's this one. It's to the front. Okay. It's to the back. Because either way, you see that hand like that in that direct way. Get a little breeze in now. Below is here. Going below, going under there. Top is here. So on top. Referring to a circle, can do it this way. One hand, or maybe if you're going to go around something, like that. Okay. Circle. Now if I was dancing or something, maybe you're doing a round dance, I would tell them make a big circle. This is the word for make. Sometimes they'll use that for work. Some natives talk about work and make about the same. We'll make big circle. And together, you would almost think it was this, okay? But actually, together is this one. Close, open hand, and then index finger right in it, like that. That's together. We'll go together, all right? Now, let's say that there's two people, and one's going to go this way, one's going to go that way. Then you would say separate. That way. All right. Break. Hold. Now, if I start moving my hand this, then you know that's work. Okay, that's hold. Now, whenever I move it like this, moving, that's usually referring to an elderly person that a long time ago they walked with a maybe a staff or stick. That's how they said it. Elder. It's like that. So you see some of these hand signs are pretty close. And so you really have to know how to do it. So go back into this. Separate. Hold. To cut something, they did it like this. Cut. That's how you would say, almost like half of it. Cut. Okay. Now, open. can have two ways to do this. This can be open, like the heavens, they open, or a door can open. But if a book opens, you do it like this, can open it and hand it like that. That's how they do for a book. To close is this, or this. That's close. So here, book, we close a book. We'll close the door, or they pray and they say the heavens closed. Pull can have two applications. Pull, probably depending on how much force and the size of what you're trying to pull. You know, you might go like this, pull, pull, or pull, pull. You might want to even add extra. Pull, you know, it might be strenuous. Pull. Therefore, you know, you add a little pantomime and a little more movement to it for that expression. Now, push can be two ways too. Sometimes people do this for push. Push, 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 push. But I've also seen it this, push, like he was pushing somebody like that, push. So those two words, pull and push. So we done walk, run, crawl, climb, fast, slow would be this, slow, whereas that's fast. Sometimes they might even say like, describe it like being fast like lightning. And make that little bolt fast. Friend is this. Man, this man is my friend. Or this woman here, she's my friend. So those are ways to use that way of speaking about a person. Now let's say baby. A lot of times is when you cradle when you hold a baby. See. A mother is here. It's baby's mother right here, like that. TP and house is the same. They'll use that same sign, and that's this. Well, Plains Indians, many of them lived in teepees, so they would use that. Today, they'll still use that for the house. Come over to my house. Eat. You know, we just think about all the words that we learned and those expressions and that. Be able to use it, put it together. Buy. Buy. It's like this. Buy. I want to buy. Horse. I want to buy bottle of water, something like that. Say that's about that size. I I'm still looking at ways to later on of how to say maybe hamburger, French fries, all of those little things, direct communication, and to bring it, because I think we're just going to kind of grow into this and learn. Like I said, you know, there's new words, there's new expressions, there's things that we want to be able to keep going with this, Just like our language, our tribal languages. You know, one word in our tribe, the translation is not like English. We can't think in English terms when we're describing things, because there's many applications to that word that carries different meanings. You know, somebody's name might be a whole story behind that goes way back to somebody's great grandmother that they had that name. There may be little parts to that. You know, this means this means that. And so when you get in English and you're trying to say a word, you know, it's just like one word. That's only kind of a definition you get. But in our Indian culture, you know, it has different meanings, different interpretations can be brought in to explain something. That's why, you know, we're talking about culture, that it's close to us. We hold it, we preserve it. We, you know, we have to treat it like a baby, so it'll grow. Let me see where we're at now. Hot, cold, stars. This is how we do for stars. So it's nighttime. See the stars in the sky. It's just like you're scattering them through there. And a lot of times, those stars, those constellations, have names in many of our native cultures because they stargaze. They followed the stars, and that's why they gave them direction, sense of direction. Hey, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to ask any questions. Man, I was cruising there. We have any questions?
Alicia says, oh.
Oh. Anything about tonight's sign languages? Anybody have any questions, or feel free to ask.
I don't see anything. Oh, here's something. Is Plains sign language the same as northern part of the Plains as it is in the South?
Our Plains, our sign language here in the South, a little bit different. It's a little bit different. But up north, among the Blackfeet and Lakota people and the Crow, it's real close. It's real close. We can communicate one another, but I would say that's where we have to use pantomime, facial gestures, expression into it to add to it, just to make it, you know, understandable. But it's pretty much it's pretty much common. When I keep studying and looking at different ones that speak and watching how they do it and thinking, well, if I was with them, could we understand one another? I know what they're saying there, and I know that sign, and that's a little bit different than the way we do it. But I think that's where I kind of got an advantage, because my grandfather, he lived up there, and he came back and you know, pretty much taught the family. But I know here in Oklahoma, growing up, I knew a lot of Kiowas, like Evans Ray Sapu. He used a lot of sign language when he was talking to me, and I understood what he was saying. And he was real good and fluent with it. Okay, anything else?
I saw a documentary long ago, Korea Ojibwe, Have you
Mhm.
seen that one? I think those are the tribes.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, I'd like to get a time when all of us that are doing this sign language could come together, you know, and do something. I think it would be monumental, you know, to see this because, you know, man, this sign language goes way back, and to see it in today's times.
And that's something we can work on.
Yeah.
I'll get with you on that, Mike.
Well, next week, next Thursday, 7 o'clock, I'll be back for another lesson.